In the John Wick movies, the method of using guns by John had gotten plenty of attention due to how different the said style was depicted when compared to other displays of weapon usage in television or film. Back, arms, shoulders, neck, and even head positioning in relation to the weapon usage during combat have all gotten attention due to the practicality of how he handled the weapons or the believability in combat. But the speculative scenario is this: is the John Wick quote-unquote style of gun aiming, firing, and reloading accurate? In the films, John was known for holding his pistol or even rifles at a somewhat diagonal cant, with an obvious posture forward, behind, held close to his body almost at all times. John was also able to dodge and evade easier as a result of the weapon being at a reasonable distance to or from him at all times, as mentioned. In terms of the quote-unquote method of holding a gun, discussions have speculated that it's something of a center axis relock method, abbreviated as CAR. Such is an actual positioning or style of using a weapon in combat-based scenarios. In a good amount of the gunfights that John was shown in had him what's known as the high or extended position. The weapon isn't technically being held in a diagonal or slanted position so much as it's being held at the cant because of the proximity of the gun to his face or body. CAR can be based on quick shooting of close proximity targets, usually no more than 9 meters away from the individual with the weapon. This allows for reactions from the opponent based on what they could or would do on how you could or would react. Why John might hold the weapon at a cant is because the gun is held in a positioning lineup without the natural bending or arcing of the arm. For more usage or positioning, such as bracing for recoil when firing or movement when needing to aim the weapon in a set position for the target. In the films, John was also known for shooting gunmen multiple times, even when the said man was probably dead. The concept or technique of shooting someone multiple times is known as the double tap, where one bullet is fired into the chest and then another into the head of the individual, for example. The premise is that if you're dealing with multiple opponents and you're not sure if you kill them or not, and you don't want to necessarily have to deal with the same person again when you need to focus on other gunmen, it's wiser to shoot them again to make sure that they're dead. This was why during the films, after John shot a man and their body fell lifelessly to the ground, he would nearly almost always shoot them for a second time in either the chest or head, regardless of where the first shot fired into. In the films, a few times John used the method of throwing an empty weapon at an opponent to temporarily stun them while he either ran for cover, attacked them through some other means, or to even draw a second weapon to use in combat. While it seems somewhat effective to watch from the films, in an actual realistic firefight it's debatable. From actual combat, no matter how good you might be, there's always theoretically someone better than you in terms of skill or experience. It's too much of a risk to engage with an opponent either armed with a weapon or unarmed, but in a potentially fatigued or damaged condition, as John was usually shown to be in the films. All an opponent might need to kill you is luck or an opportunity, which anyone could have or lose. It all depends on the circumstances of the situation when you're armed with a weapon or unarmed without a weapon. Speculations on a more realistic maneuver might have been to have John try to obtain one of the weapons dropped by the various men that he killed during the gunfights that he was displayed in during the films. But it arguably didn't seem realistic because of the improvisations he did when unarmed or on low ammunition to use with the weapons that he might have had at the time. Depending on how John Wick aimed, fired, or even reloaded weapons, it might have been accurate or realistic, but it just as much could have been dependent on the situation that John found himself in, the weapons he had access to, or even the placements that the other gunmen were in around him.